Good evening. I'd like to call tonight's Board of Commissioners meeting to order. If we could all please stand for a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, for purposes of the roll call, everybody who's supposed to be here is here with the exception of Commissioner Robert and Commissioner Shoemaker. We also have Township Solicitor Fisher subbing for Solicitor Bruman. There are no agenda modifications tonight. Item number 5, announcements and presentations. An executive session was held after the March 24th workshop to discuss to discuss personnel and potential litigation. Item 6, hearings and approvals. 6.1, hearing for the acquisition of the Dan Weber property located at 6300 Lower Macungie Road. I hereby temporarily adjourn this meeting so that we can commence the hearing for the acquisition of the Dan Weber property. I turn the meeting over to Solicitor Fisher.
Thank you, President Higgins. So as mentioned tonight, we're having a public hearing regarding the township's purchase of the property that's located at 6300 Lower Macungie Road. That property was designated for acquisition by the township on the official map. It's been on the official map. The last iteration was December of 2023. The hearing tonight is pursuant to 32 PS Section 5006 of the Open Space Lands Act. So basically, because the township's going to be used a portion of funds from the Open Space Fund to purchase the property, we have to have a hearing before we actually close on the purchase. So that's what the purpose of this hearing is. What can happen tonight at the hearing is that anybody that is present that wants to present any public comment or any relevant evidence relating to the purchase of the property can come up and speak. You will have to be sworn in as part of the hearing to speak. And obviously, the purpose of the hearing is strictly the purchase of the property. It doesn't have anything to do with any development on the property. And actually, the purchase of the property is to keep this land as active and passive open space. So there won't be any development on the property after the township purchases it. So there obviously was some background about this property being developed over the years. The township's now purchasing it. So the hearing isn't relating to any of those developments. It isn't relating to any other property in the township. It's strictly to this property at 6300 Lower Macungie Road. As some background with respect to the purchase itself, the township has been negotiating with the property owner for many months for the acquisition of the property. The property is owned by the Dan Weber Land Trust. Jason C. Dan Weber is the trustee of the Dan Weber Land Trust, has entered into an agreement with the property dated March 26th, 2025. And the township will be purchasing the property. The purchase agreement was published in the agenda for tonight. It's approximately 45 acres. The township has agreed to purchase it for $9.4 million. The township advertised this hearing. It was originally supposed to take place on Thursday, April 3rd. It had to be rescheduled for tonight. So to begin, I would just like to note that we have a stenographer that's actually participating online tonight. So the stenographer is taking down minutes of everything that we're talking about tonight. And we're going to start by marking the agreement as Township Exhibit 1. That will be forwarded to the stenographer. Township Exhibit 2 is proof of publication of the original hearing notice, which was scheduled for May 3rd. And Township Exhibit 3 is the proof of publication for tonight's hearing, April 7th, 2025. Is there anyone in the audience? We have quite a few people here tonight. Is there anyone present that's here to present any commentary or evidence on this specific topic? Raise your hand, please. Okay, we have two people in the audience. I'm going to ask you to be sworn by the stenographer. So if I could turn it over to Gina to just, you can do it as a group, I think, Gina. So follow the instructions from the stenographer so that you could swear in, then we'll call you up one at a time. When you're ready, Gina.
Ma'am,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Are they raising their right hand?
They are.
Yes.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Okay. President Higgins, if you want to call them up one at a
Ma'am,
time.
come first to the podium. If you could please just sign your name and address. You could do it after you speak or whatever's more comfortable.
And just make sure you state your name before you start talking again so the stenographer can note who you are.
My name is Bernadette Eichhoff. Did you want my residence in my comment?
That would be helpful. Thank
Okay.
you.
7136 Heather Road, Macungie. And I'm here to support a yes vote from the commissioners. As a resident of that local area, I would favor having that land be forever, not forever farm, but undeveloped. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Siegel.
Thank you, board members, for allowing me to speak tonight at this public hearing.
Just state your name, please, for the
Okay.
court reporter. Sorry.
My name is Michael Siegel, Siegel. I'm a resident at 1939 Astor Road in Macungie. I've been part of this project in some sort of fashion for the last 25 years. And tonight I am jumping up and down at the board's decision to purchase this property. As many of you know, this has been a long, arduous process of 25 years of different types of projects being proposed on this. But I've been involved in this since 2000 with the stormwater issues coming from the Walmart facility down through this property. And I couldn't be happier that the township has full control over the stormwater problems now that are going to come through this property. I can still remember the date when I was out there in December of 1999 telling the judge that this was going to be a horrendous stormwater flooding problem from this going through this property and out onto the township road. And they all laughed at me. And now we know where we stand on that 25 years later. And the township ends up buying the property because they see the same thing that I saw 25 years ago, that this property is a key property in controlling stormwater for the entire northern part of this township, all the way to 222. Along with that, and preserving the farmland, working with a former township engineer and trying to stabilize the channel through there, the sinkhole on Lower Macungie Road. So many environmental hazards have come from this one particular property. And I'm so pleased that the township is spending $9 million to preserve this key portion of a drainage issue for the entire township and be able to control it. Again, I throw all my support on it. This ends 25 years of attending every single planning commission meeting and board of commissioners after this deal signed tonight, hopefully. And I thank the commissioners for the wisdom of taking open space monies and purchasing this property. The only thing I would like to say about this property is that the township is going to purchase this property as I expect. Hopefully they will put in the safeguards for that channel to keep any children that would be attractively put forth on this property, since it will be designated active recreations for part of it. And I would also like to see what we started down there, at least I started with the putting floodgates down there, that now that the developer won't be responsible for controlling the vehicles coming up onto the property during flooding conditions to avoid Spring Creek Road. I hopefully the township has the wisdom to take further open space monies or grants and not only preserve it, but keep it safety-wise from being an attractive nuisance for all the children in the area. Again, this is 25 years of my personal service to the township that's being done tonight. And I don't know if all the residents know this, but I spent one hell of a lot of time on this property, attending every single meeting since probably 2001. So thank you, gentlemen, for going forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for your comments. Just, if you could just come up here, we'll have to swear you in. ma'am.
She did.
Oh, you did? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't see that.
My name is Michelle Hout. I'm going to fill this out real quick so I don't forget. First time visitor, long time resident. I reside at 7010 Pioneer Drive in Macungie. I just wanted to say, I came to this meeting, I did not realize that you had already made a decision and the purchase was going through. Big old thank you to all of you and your hard work in that. So I am the granddaughter of Theodore, Teddy, and May Lichtenwalner. Teddy farmed that land from 1947 when he moved in there to 1992 when he retired. So I have watched that land slowly be developed around there. And I also grew up in the white farmhouse on Lichtenwalner Lane, right off of Route 100 in Macungie. My cousin in the back corner there actually resides in one of those farmhouses now. Her grandparents were there when I lived there. And I loved living in that farm, and I got to watch the development come closer and closer as I lived there for the first 23 years of my life. So too, I just wanted to say, I was gonna come up here and tell you why you had to do it, but you don't need it because you're already doing it. So I did just want to say thank you to for this decision. We're really excited that Pop Pop's land's gonna be there a little bit longer. So thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody else testifying this evening? Mr. Solicitor?
Okay, that presents the end of the presentations from the public. We can go ahead and close the hearing then, and we would turn it back to the commissioners to take a vote on whether to proceed with the closing.
So I will reconvene our regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners at this time. Do I have a motion for the acquisition of the Dan Weber property located at 6300 Lower Macungie Road?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any commissioner comments or questions?
Yes, I got a
Commissioner Beitler.
statement to make.
Yep.
You know, when this sale goes through.
I'm
and
sorry,
it's-
could you just say who's speaking?
Commissioner Beitler is speaking.
All right, thank you.
Yes, when this sale goes through and is completed, approximately 45 acres of land will be added to Lower Macungie Township's already existing 1,000 plus acres of preserved lands. Lower Macungie Township and a Lehigh County Farm Preservation Team, with the help of the Lower Macungie Township citizens through the referendum and the land preservation tax, work together to make some of this a possibility. This land preservation and process will prevent the possibility of construction of high-density apartments, possibility of that. I'd like to say thank you to Bruce and his Lower Macungie team and the Dan Weber family. They're the owners that sold it to us. And citizens of Lower Macungie Township, because they voted for a preservation tax and they had the majority of the vote of the referendum to do exactly what we're doing tonight, what I'm doing.
Thank you. Commissioner Beitler. Commissioner Ward, anything?
I'll just kind of concur and just state that the ramifications, if that property was developed at that location, would have been extremely detrimental to this township. I mean, it would have been beyond the stormwater issues that Mr. Siegel brought up. The infrastructure we have here just wouldn't be able to handle. So I'm very happy to have this in front of us tonight.
I'll just make a couple comments about this. So this land was actually approved for development a very long time ago. If this was 20 years ago, 23 years ago, it probably would have been developed at the time because it was far ahead of any other development that was going on. So there wouldn't have been the same kind of issues that pop up. When I joined this board almost 12 years ago, myself and Commissioner Beitler, the other Commissioner Beitler, the one that's not as good looking as the current one, we really made it our mission to work to preserve the space we could, to limit certain types of development. You can't eliminate development. People have rights. Landowners have rights. You have to have certain zones in your town. It's just the way it works. The fact that we're part of the Southwestern Lehigh comprehensive zoning map allows us to be a little bit more restrictive than most communities. The fact that we took all warehousing out of our zoning ordinance within the last 7 years was a big accomplishment. That also comes with a downside, the fact that we don't necessarily generate the revenue that places that have a lot of them do, like Upper Macungie and some of our surrounding communities, where they have much more money to do things than we do. When we started this effort to identify lands that could be impactful in a negative way to our infrastructure, we had to rely on money that we had in the bank with the help of people like Lehigh County and their preservation efforts. That limited us to what we could do. You know, I always go back to the Wiener property, which was probably the most significant piece of property that we really preserved at the time, the corner of Sauerkraut and Lower Macungie Road. We couldn't purchase all of it. It just wasn't financially feasible, but we purchased as much as humanly possible. I think the one piece that was left, you know, is being developed with 14 or 16 houses on it, which obviously is much less than what the full property would have provided. Hundreds of homes that would have been detrimental to that area, to the town as a whole, especially Brookside Road, which is already an issue. Thankfully, the voters in this township several years later gave us this open space tax that we are aggressively pursuing as many pieces of property as we can get so that we can prevent any further stress to our infrastructure. Will we get everything we want? No, it's just not possible. Land prices now are through the roof. You know, if somebody comes in and offers a landowner well above appraisal, we're not going to be able to match that. I would love to say we could, but we can't. You know, this piece of property at $9.4 million for 44 acres sounds crazy. And 20 years ago, that would have been crazy. But we're buying it for a little bit more than it was appraised for. The dam members are selling it for a little bit less than they want it. And that's how compromise happens. I am very appreciative to the Dan Weber family for engaging with us on this deal. They could have said no. They did still have the right to develop it the way they wanted to. They would have had to change their plans some, but this saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of money in litigation that could have happened after this. And this is just another step forward for the community to keep our way of life the way it is, keep people safe, preserve people's memories, but also make sure that when we need to get from one place to another, it doesn't take us 6 hours to do so, and doesn't allow for another warehouse or another logistics center or something that's going to bring a lot of trucks onto our roads happen. So I'm thrilled to support this. I'm very appreciative of staff and what they've done to make this happen. Most people don't, you know, look at government and think it's something comes before us. We say yes, we say no, and move on. There are thousands of hours that our staff goes through to make things like this happen, starting with our manager, Bruce Beidel, our assistant manager, Renee Flexer, our attorney, our engineer, everybody on staff working tirelessly for the people of this community. And at the same time, never forcing us to have to raise your taxes. Now, I can tell you in 12 years sitting up here, I've never once raised somebody's taxes. That doesn't happen ever. Just read the papers. South Whitehall this year had like I won't give the number, but a very large tax increase. Emmaus Borough had a large tax increase on their property taxes. We have not had one. Will we in the future? Probably. At some point, we do have to pay for things, and things are not getting less expensive, but we do what we can up here to make sure that the money you do pay to the township provides for a good place to live and a place that you will be able to sell your house someday and take benefit from what land costs are right now, but not forcing you to move before you have to. So thank you to the staff. Thank you to the Dan Weber family. Thank you to all the citizens that supported this, and your voices have been heard. And I'm happy that we can finally close the door on this evening. Any further public comment on this purchase? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on, item 6.2, consideration to approve a just compensation settlement agreement with Ronald Muse for the condemnation property located at 7800 Creamery Road.
Oh, yeah. Gina, you're done. You can
Okay.
hang it up.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
No
Good
problem.
night.
All right, President Higgins, that'll be me again. This is another property acquisition at 7800 Creamery Road. It was the property was condemned. It was taken through eminent domain in December of 2024. It also appeared on the open space map as acquisition for public parks. It was also acquired through eminent domain for that purpose. Since that time, we have negotiated with the owner, Ronald Muse, for the compensation amount for the acquisition of the property. We reached an agreement for $2.3 million. This agreement before you right now is, to finalize the agreement for the payment of that money, which would be done 30 days from your approval of the agreement. So looking for a motion to approve that.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
We have motions. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? I'll give one comment. This piece of land to me has always been very important for the overall goals of the community. This piece of property lies at the intersection of Route 100 and Quarry Road. It's a sizable farm. It actually provides a much needed connection to a network of parks, meaning Creamery Park and Quarry Park. This is adjacent to both of those. It also removes the specter that at some point a future board could remove it from agriculture to protect it and develop it, which would be detrimental to Route 100 for sure, but also the areas around there. It also, interestingly enough, lies within what is known as the, Spring Creek Properties legal settlement. So technically, if Mr. Muse decided to sell this to someone, he could develop warehouses there because that's part of the area that was agreed to in a settlement 13 years ago when the warehouses were built on Spring Creek Road. So that removes this from that possibility. I'm overjoyed that we're able to do this and again, preserve the land, whether it stays a farm for a long time or it becomes part of our park system. It's important. It's an important acquisition for the future of this community. Any public comment? Mr. Siegel.
The second reason why I'm here tonight is this is like the third thing that I was really involved in since day one, was trying to make the final connection to Creamery and Quarry Park through our greenway system. And I'm overjoyed that you guys were able to get this parcel and making, eventually make that connection. But I'm more overjoyed that it's another parcel out of the logistics area and we don't have to worry about additional flooding on the headwaters of the Little Lehigh. That water can stay out in those fields until the cows come home, literally. But there's closed depressions on that area, and it's not the best geological area to develop on, but it acts as a buffer to hold more water back from the little Lehigh from flooding down on Spring Creek Road. So anything that can do that is a great win, in my opinion. But again, I'd like to thank the board for the wisdom of doing that. I think there's another piece over there that we need to connect, but that's for another day. But I'm just, 2 wins in a row is just great tonight. I think this is the best thing that's happened to the township in the last 20 years here. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any other public comment? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6.3, Resolution 2025-09, approving a contract with Emmaus Aquatic Club for pool management. Mr. Vital.
Thank you. As we discussed at the workshop in detail and in length, this is the annual contract with Emmaus Aquatic to operate the township's pool by providing lifeguards and doing the day-to-day management of its upkeep. The cost is $152,506.24. Staff's recommending the board consider approving this agreement.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve Resolution 2025-09, approving a contract with the Emmaus Aquatic Club for pool management.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6.4, Resolution 2025-10, approving the DCNR grant application for a comprehensive master park plan. Mr. Vital.
Thank you. The rec department has completed a grant submission for the updating of the township's overall comprehensive park and rec plan that hasn't been updated in quite some time. This allows the township to submit that grant and that it's approved by the board to the state for them to consider.
Do I have a motion?
Motion, so moved.
We have motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6.5, Resolution 2025-11, approving the disposition of township records. Mr. Vital.
Thank you. It's necessary each year that the township consider, disposing of certain records per state law. It's necessary that we provide a list to the board and you authorize staff to go ahead and dispose of those records for our record retention policy.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6.6, consideration of bid award for paving equipment rentals. Mr. Vital.
Thank you. The township puts out a request for proposals for the use of paving equipment. What you have before you for your consideration is a 33-month long potential contract with Coons and Anthony Paving Company, the only bidder received by the township, which would end December 31st, 2027. There are 3 possible 1-year contract extensions continuing until December 31st, 2030. If prices are held to the current bid pricing, we're recommending to the township board that you would consider approving this.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6.7, consideration of bid award for crack seal and Craftco Mastic 1 project. Mr. Vital.
This consideration is for the 2025 crack sealing and Craftco mastic project. As you mentioned, the township did seek quotes from various vendors. We received 1 bid back from Asphalt Maintenance Solution, Jefferson Street, Emmaus. The contract is based on the bid amount of $70,583, which is a sum of the estimated areas that the staff compiled. Staff is recommending that the board consider moving forward with Asphalt Maintenance Solutions.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6.8, consideration of bid award for cleaning and porter services. Mr. Beidle.
Thank you. The township does utilize a cleaning service for both this building and the community center. As part of the community center bid requirements, we do have a company do porter service for the rental rooms. We sought bids and quotes for companies to provide that service. It's an initial 32-month period that will get us to the end of the year with 2 separate 1-year renewals. Each renewal term, if the township exercises, has a maximum allowable 2% annual increase. We had 2 bidders pick up packets. We did receive 1 bid that failed to provide a bid bond as part of the bid packet. We did have the remaining bidder, Advanced Cleaning Solutions, for a total of combined $45,913.68. They are our current provider, and staff is recommending to the board that you consider approving this bid.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6.9, Resolution 2025-12, approving signatories for an agreement with the Pennsylvania Turnpike for utility work related to the Turnpike widening at East Texas Road. Mr. Beidle.
This involves the altering of 2 manholes that are currently on the site. We had previously discussed with the board and had approval at one of our previous meetings about this project and the costs associated. It's sub $10,000 to the township to raise both of these manholes. As we approved the agreement with them, the Turnpike then came back and asked that the board authorize me to be the designated person to sign. So this just recognizes me as the signing authority for the township so that we can move forward with the agreement.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions?
Just a comment.
Yes.
A lot of people are asking, wondering what's going on with Lower Macungie and East Texas Road. I think we brought this up at the last meeting. There are not any exit ramps or on-ramps from the Turnpike going to be on Lower Macungie or East Texas. They're strictly just replacing bridges that at some point the Turnpike is going to get wider up this way. So they're getting prepared for that. So just to clarify, for folks that are unaware, thinking something else is happening.
Very good. Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 7, public comment on non-agenda topics. Is there any public comment on non-agenda topics, sir? Come up.
My name's Dave Burgess. I live in the village of Weilersville. And I walk my dog to Creamery Park every day and then through the Muse Tract over to Quarry Lane. And I've been doing it for years and years. And nearly every time, I would say in excess of 90% of the time, I will encounter somebody running their dog off lead in one or the other park in violation of the regulations you guys have established. Sounds like a trivial matter, but then 2 weeks ago, what prompted me to come and talk to you today was my wife was actually walking the dog and 2 dogs attacked her. She had to run for her life and hide behind the clubhouse in Creamery Park. So all I'm doing is making an appeal. If there's somebody in the organization that has the authority to ramp up enforcement in some way or some enforcement process that can be requested to do this, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right?
Thank you. I'll give that to staff to look into it, and we'll try to get you an answer and a response.
Yeah, my wife, she's actually spoken to somebody on staff a couple of years ago, and for a month or so, it was pretty good. But, here we are again.
I mean, the one thing that I always tell residents, and this is the tough part, we don't have a local police department. So
Understood.
there is no real enforcement arm for us other than staff being there all the time. We are trying to um, provide cameras in our parks so that we can capture things. But again, that comes at a cost that we're working through. But we'll see what we can do, you know, whether it's more robust signage, whether it's policing those parks a little bit, you know, more closely. But we'll see what we can do to help you out with that. But we appreciate you bringing that to our
Yes,
attention.
I thank you too. Thanks very much.
If you could just sign your name and address so that we can get in touch with you if we need to. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Any other public comment on non-agenda topics? Mr. Siegel.
Several things. First one, if you guys could inform PennDOT that the sound walls on the western side, I call it southeastern side of Route 100 and Spring Creek Road going toward Upper McCountry at the township line, if you could get PennDOT to go out there and take all the graffiti and the tagging off those walls, I'd appreciate it. It doesn't look good for our municipality when I drive down there and see tags all the way down through Heritage Heights walls there. So that'd be the first thing I'd ask, if you could, whatever pulley that you got. The second thing is the last few days, especially before trout season, I want to first thank the township for putting in the extension out to the sewer line at Astor Road. That is a lifesaver, not only for residents over there, but for the hatchery people who stock the creek right there. They can go right down to the creek now and safely put in the fish. So that was a winner. But what I've noticed the last few weeks, and my wife's brought it to my attention, is people are driving across the freshly planted tree area of the conservation park on the other side. Apparently the fences are not up and they're driving like they're mud dogging in there. They're driving their cars in there, and the township spent a lot of time and effort with the Wildlands Conservancy planting all those trees in there, and they're blowing them away by doing that. If you could find a way to secure that area so they don't drive all the way down to the creek. I mean, they literally drove right 1 foot away from the bank of the creek. And it's very irritating when you guys have done a fantastic job of trying to bring that, the conservation area back, and they're running four-wheelers in there. So,
Thanks, Mike.
and the other thing is, if you could get somebody to put the flood sign back up on Spring Creek Road before we have a flood down there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, moving on, communication. There is no communication this evening. Number 9, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. We don't have any. Item 10, approval of minutes from previous meetings. 10.1, March 20th, 2025.
Motion to approve the minutes from March 10th, 2025.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 11, approval of transfers, bill list, and payroll. Mr. Beidle.
Thank you. We have the following for your consideration. The general fund, $270,394.30. Solid waste fund, $394,604.97. The sewer fund, $159,431.07. The capital projects fund, $39,176.86. The open space maintenance fund, $37.25. The payroll, $165,223.18. The developer escrow fund, $8,060.49. For a total of all funds, $1,036,928.12.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 12, departmental matters. Engineering, Mr. McAdam.
I have nothing to report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. McAdam. Any questions for the engineer? 12.2, planning, Mr. Tranguch.
Thank you, Mr. President. No report tonight. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Trangucci? Item 12.3, Solicitor Fisher.
Nope, we handled all my stuff earlier, so nothing else to report tonight. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for the solicitor? 12.4, Township Manager, Mr. Beidle.
I have nothing additional to the items discussed this evening. I would request if the board's available for a quick executive regarding potential litigation.
Any questions for the manager? Item 13, other business. Is there any old business to discuss this evening? Is there any new business? Item 14, Board of Commissioners reports. The next regular scheduled board meeting is April 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. The next board workshop is April 28th, 2025 at 6 p.m. There will be an executive session following this meeting, discuss potential litigation. And with that, we are adjourned.